Welcome back, everyone, to the Overwatch Open upper bracket final heading your way. Dignitas versus LG. Dignitas looking to avenge themselves, get themselves back on top. LG looking to stay in their favorite position and show that they are here for real. And it is going to start right now here on Numbani.
Best of 3 determining which one of these teams will get the first ticket to Atlanta from Group D. So a lot at stake here. And like you said, ZP, Dignitas, more than just those planes tickets at stake. They have a point to prove.
Absolutely. Well, taking a look here, it is going to be LG on the defense first. Toxican on the Zenyatta, Artier on Zarya, Drakeus on Lucio, Bromas on McCree. Lynx are going to be on Genji, Numlocked on the Winston. So glad to see Lynxer return the form here on Genji. Again, it's interesting how LG has swapped off Artier from the McCree role. So for Bromas, we talked about it a little bit in the preamble, it's going to be up to Bromas to have a stronger performance here against Icefeld compared to the last 2 times these teams met.
We're moving out now from Team Dignitas. We have Ruster on Reinhardt, Maniton on the other tank playing Roadhog, Saini and Icefeld playing the heroes we would expect them to on the DPS role. And of course, we're rounding out with Mineral and Zave on Lucio and Zenyatta, respectively.
All right, and right now, what we're seeing here is Dignitas just all coming in off the left flank, speeding right up to the high ground. Hook is in here from the Roadhog to start things out. Icefeld cleaning up. Bromas first to fall. 2 quick kills here from Dignitas, and their early assault definitely effective, and LUMINOSITY already on the back foot.
They need to make sure they regroup and they're able to gather things up for the next fight. We already have Dignitas moving downstairs and trying to climb all over the point here. LUMINOSITY just patiently looking for an opportunity to dive in, but it is 2/3 contested right now, so they are going to have to start this opportunity early.
Indeed, and one thing for LG, they don't have much in the way of great shield tanks to deal with the Roadhog, so Maniton, nothing really stopping him from getting the picks he's looking for, but here comes Lynxer, has built up the Dragon Blade, takes out Icefeld, still around, but will get taken out by Sandy in the very end. Unfortunately here, for the side of Dignitas, they just lost way too many people too early to actually reliably reinforce that.
And by the time Lynxer actually used his Dragon Blade, he was on effectively 1 square of health. So he was taking a little bit of a gamble, trying to pick 3 or 4 people off before he actually came on, but he didn't quite get the payoff he was looking for.
Alrighty, well, we do have a switch up here from Dignitas. Of course, teams, if they don't run a Reinhardt in first, they usually run it in the Streets phase. Numlock, the 3G Express, switching on to that Reinhardt. And we'll see how things go here. It'll certainly give Maniton a few more problems, but going to the next fight, Dragon Blade for Simi is on the ready, and he should be able to bring things wide open here if he chooses his moment right.
No Transcendence for Dignitas to try and negate this, and Saini coming in with the Dragon Blade very early on, looking for Zenyatta, and actually gets eliminated by Toxic, and before that damage gets done, we now have an Earth Shatter, but no follow-up here from LUMINOSITY.
It is a little bit back and forth on both sides. LG, though, they are going to get the better of it. Maniton, anytime Maniton lives along in the fight, he gets all sorts of pickoffs. There's just no one to stop him from hooking people down. And he has been having a great game here thus far, as LG is going to move right forward, grab the second checkpoint. And for Dignitas, if they were looking to avenge themselves, this is a poor start to that plan.
Maniton, one of the players we were talking about keeping an eye out for moving into this phase of the game. And interesting, he's going to be swapping straight off onto Zarya. Note that Artier on the side of Dignitas already has Graviton Surge available, and Maniton will have to build it up from scratch. All
right, we'll take a look. Dignitas, they do have 4 ults at the ready. They should be able to take this next fight. Graviton is out, pulls in 2. Sound Barrier going to protect them all. Robots taking out Icefeld to start things out, and they are rolling right into LG. LG does blow a Transcendence here, but maybe not the best idea at the very beginning. They already lost 2 people. They are fighting it out, but you look at the momentum of this fight, they are getting pushed back. However, we'll see if this works out, as Transcendence comes out a little bit later here for Dignitas. They're going to have to blow that second support ult to win the fight, where I don't know if that's great for them. I think LG actually turned a bad situation pretty good towards the end of it.
Well, Zave using it just in response to the Graviton Surge, I suppose, and like you say, that could have gone either way, but Toxican using his that much later will allow him to get a lot done. Saini coming in now, still looking for that 3 or 4 kill that he's been wanting all game long, gets 2, grabs a 3rd as well, and that's going to be enough to make a lot of push here on the payload.
Well, that is a great 3 kill for him. Saini gets that backline, got what he was looking for, and now for Dignitas, they're just going to have to come out, try and stall, but the Earth Shatter coming out, knocks down 2 right away. And we'll see if LG can continue piling on. Icefeld in the back line as McCree, nothing on him. Numlocked, a last-ditch Earth Shatter is going to knock down 2, but his team is dead all around him, and he shall join them in the graveyard as LG sets a lightning-fast time here on Numbani.
Very quick marker set down by LUMINOSITY here. That last Earth Shatter and Graviton Surge basically saying, well, you could come out and contest it 3 or 4 at once, but we actually want to kill these guys off early so that you start trickling. Nicely played there, and that will allow them to get a very competitive time set on Numbani.
Yeah, and this is not great for Dignitas. It is possible to beat this time when they go on their own attack, but now let's talk about the pressure that they're under. Effectively, they can't get wiped more than twice or the game is going to be over. And really, if they don't even take point A on the first attack, it's going to be very, very grim indeed just because of all the ways that LG can end this. And one thing I really love looking at LG right now, they are going to a just... You can call it nothing but Numbani defense here, where they looks like they will be going at the Torb. They're going to be going at the 76, who does not get a whole lot of play right now, and a Roadhog. This is not traditional defense at all, and it's really a Numbani where you get to see teams spread their wings like this.
Now, so far this tournament, we've seen 1 or 2 Torbs on Numbani first defense, and I have to say, ZP, they haven't really been doing that well so far, so we'll see if Mineral can actually do something different. I think Josh and I were talking yesterday about how we got 1 armor pack and a dead turret, and that was basically it. But obviously, this is one of those high-risk, high-rewards, because you just need 1 team wipe here, right?
Right, and what happens with Torbjorn, of course, if he does last long enough, is that Molten Core is one of the most obnoxious ultimates to deal with in the game. Once it's up, the best way of dealing with it is just backing out for 10 seconds, which, of course, you give up positioning when you do that. You give up your initiation if you're going with the sound barrier. It's not great. So for Dignitas, what really needs to happen for them is they need to dive in quickly, get on the Torbjorn right away, make the soldier uncomfortable, and you kind of look at the offense running here. They're running with Numlocked on Reinhardt. They're not running a double dive comp. I think they don't know what LG is running here, but I think if they knew, I think they'd probably rather run Winston D.Va instead.
I think the elements of surprise potentially working in Luminosity's favor here, we'll see. Getting a little bit of poke damage to start things off, but nothing game-changing just yet. Just scouting out. In fact, they're going to be looking at the Reinhardt and going, okay, this could be very interesting for us.
All right, well, Dignitas right now going right up the gut. Nothing flashy here. In fact, they're going all the way around to start things out. But Winston leaps over the top, and I don't know about that at all for RT. His team was so far away from him, he just jumped into a death trap. That was not well advised at all. 2 quick kills come out from LG, and LG didn't even really have to move there. Dignitas sort of killed themselves.
And Mineral is going down, but he managed to get that first pick off as well. And I believe the turret did a good job in the corner. Nobody contesting the point right now, and they're kind of playing chase me. Manaton saying, actually, no, mate, you're going to come back here.
The thing that just confuses me there, if you want to go in and around and challenge the high end like they seemingly want to, that's fine. But why would you leap in there as Arts here to 3 people when your team's that far back? That was just, it wasn't great. And Fedalov ult. And Saini now is going to have Dragon Blade here in this next fight, so given the time that they have to beat here, if they lose this next fight, they lose the game. So things going from bad to worse right now for Dignitas.
The turret's still alive and still in an awkward position. Dignitas coming in through the high ground will at least mean they can pick that up early on. Here comes Saini with the ultimate, looking to move on in and managing to not get past the Reinhardt shield, which is very important there. And Artia getting the first pick off. That was nicely defended.
Saini does go down. Hope is still alive here for Dignitas. They have the player advantages to move in. Mineral only 15% away from Molten Core. Might not get it in time. But here comes Icefall. Tech Visor is at the ready. Sound Bear in for Dignitas. They have to be all in right here, right now. Icefall, though, in the back. Has people in his sights. Has to move back a little bit as his team is dying all around him. This is going to be a Dignitas cap, but only a minute 53 remaining. LG has plenty of ways of defending this.
Yeah, exactly right. It's possible for them to complete it for sure. Numbani are very, very quick as a map, but they cannot afford any additional mistakes. There's the triple kill to finish off the team fight from Dignitas, and they are moving the payload. But look at this. I mean, a minute 30. If you take a look at an average of about 45 seconds per push, they basically can't lose more than 10 seconds here.
Well, it's not that they can't even lose a fight. It's also that they have to win every fight so incredibly decisively. I mean, we're talking to the level that Bromos needs to get a 4-kill Deadeye or something to start the next fight. Because there's so many ways that LG can stall this out that if you were to put a percentage on Dignitas winning this game, from this point right now, it'd probably be less than 1%. So
you have to win the fights and also win the fights while constantly pushing the payload as well.
You have to win the fights very quickly is the thing. They can't deal the long, drawn-out fight. But here we go. Next fight is underway. Transcends out from Toxian. Sets up Bromos to take out Tracer right away. 2 kills here for Dignitas. They are getting the decisive fight they need. 4 kills right now, and there's still the tiniest glimmer of hope.
This is promising, and Dignitas right now offering some resistance, quite a lot of resistance to be fair, but they are still absolutely up against the wall. 40 seconds left.
39 seconds left right now. They got to the next checkpoint. There's still technically hope. It's a very, very slim. It has to go 3 on the cart the entire way.
I mean, they could just leave it D.Va made up.
Pulse Bomb does go in, almost takes out Reinhardt. Reinhardt able to survive by the slimmest margins. 2 kills here from Dignitas. They're keeping 3 on the payload. They're keeping it moving. Lynx are able to get another kill, and LG definitely collapsing a little bit here, but even just fighting them back for a little bit, they might have done enough to where there's just not going to be enough time.
This tidal wave of resistance, unfortunately, is going to crash against the rocks, and we are now out of time. What an incredible game we've had here on Numbani. Very quick still from Dignitas, but not quick enough.
Yeah, for the offense of Dignitas, normally that would be a great Numbani attack. The problem was that their Numbani defense was so anemic that it didn't really matter in the end. They needed something even better to where they needed to take the point A on the first attack, and unfortunately, they weren't able to do that. Now, it is easy to say that and then sort of go, gee, if one fight had gone better, it would have been a different result. However, there's still the thing where certainly LG knew how long they had to defend for, so I'm not sure they really felt a huge sense of urgency to keep everything back.
Yeah, they could have, for example, on the final point gone Diva May straight away if they wanted to, if they're in a situation where we just need to stall for 10 seconds and we're fine. That was actually an incredibly fast push as well from Dignitas, but let's talk about what this is going to do to their confidence, because we were talking earlier about how you don't want to get defeated by LG twice, you want to reclaim that space, and that's a really difficult load to sort of scoop yourself back up from now.
Well, the main thing here is for Dignitas, and it's pretty rare to see this in the scene, but it has happened from time to time, is that Dignitas at one point, they were really the premier team to beat in EU in the sense that they were in the very top tier, and clearly they have struggled to stay in that spot. They've fallen down a bit where teams like Reunited, Rogue, and Misfits have been able to maintain their standing overall, so it's been rough for them. It's also been an ascendant story of LG, where LG, again, there's a point where they really struggled to get out of top 8, went back in their 2 strong days, and they've really put in the time. Certainly players like Icefeld have really grabbed a new level. Saini, of course, great Genji highlights.
Yep.
Their players weren't always playing at the level that they're playing right now. Manitin with great tank play. So it's been a level-up story here for LG, but it's also been a level-down story for Dignitas. So we'll see if Dignitas can reverse course going into the next map, but they do have some issues. And I will say, looking at the different matchups between hitscan characters, it does feel like Bromos is not doing quite as much on McCree as was expected for our tier. Because you look back at Dignitas way back in the day, and their McCree play from our tier was just legendary. You would get 3 and 4Ks all the time. And we haven't seen that explosiveness at Bromos at all yet.
So now we have Dignitas opting to switch things up a little bit. We are going to be going to the Temple of Anubis. I think you summed it up quite nicely when you said it was a little bit of a wild card. Is there anything slightly different that you might be looking to either of these teams for employing? We did see double May on this map, after all, earlier this week.
Well, one thing I would say that we certainly can expect is that we will see some Genji gameplay. Genji pretty darn good here in Anubis. Dragon Blade, one of the greatest clear-outs for these assault maps, and you take a look here at LG, they're even running the Dragon Blade on the defense. Dignitas running the Genji on the defense. Dignitas running the Genji on the attack. So Genji play definitely going to be a big decider here.
Ruster and Manitin on Winston and Zarya, respectively, as Dignitas look to move out the door and try and set a very quick time here on the Temple of Anubis. Let's see how they do. No massive surprises. It is worth noting that Numlock is going to be playing Diva to start off with, so we're using that defensive matrix to allow the team to be a bit more mobile and try and collapse it without taking too much early damage.
All right, well, the fight is engaged right now. Saini going to the backline as Genji, finding himself a bit of trouble, is going to go down here just a minute. Or is he? He was at 2 HP, does finally go down, lived for long enough to drag R-Tier's attention away. It's 2 kills here for Dignitas, though. They're on the attack, so these trade-outs, very, very good for them. Icefeld trying to stay in it, getting low himself. And for Dignitas, this is probably going to be a successful attack. Even if they die here, they should be able to reinforce more quickly.
Icefeld has done more damage on less than 100 hit points than he has basically on anything else. He contributed an awful lot of DPS to that fight as Luminosity now look to defend.
Yep, LG, they're going to be going right back in onto the point here in just a moment. Dignitas, they are reinforcing. They do have superior positioning. Icefeld, though, not really getting countered, and this might be the ray of hope here for LG as they try and turn this back in their favor. Icefeld doing the damage he needs to do, looking for an opportunity, just using Wraith Form to its best. He's going to get to backline once more, finds his way onto Zenyatta right now. Zenyatta getting saved by Zarya at the last moment, but here comes Saini, didn't do a whole lot in the first, but now has Dragon Blade, picks up the double, and is looking for a little more.
Blunting the momentum there and looking to continue it is Saini, and now they managed to get a 3 to reset Dignitas. I have to call out Icefeld there. It felt like Dignitas had a lot of momentum, and the Reaper might have just blunted it quite a lot.
Here's the real problem for Dignitas is that now the defensive LG for that gutsy defense is going to have a whole lot of ults up here in just a moment, and now there's the possibility of a point A hold, which would basically be GG in favor of LG. So Dignitas, they need to make this next fight work. It is going to be an ult showdown. If LG can win this, they very well might win it all.
Oh man, all 6 ultimates versus 5 out of 6, and Drake is very close to sound barrier as well. This is going to be absolutely massive when it starts, and we're going to be moving in with, oh goodness, D.Va trying to get the kills, Blumnox managing to get one, and here comes Saini over the top with the Dragon Blade, not able to pick anything so far, and Dignitas getting the first 3, now 4 off of Luminosity.
Dignitas winning that ult showdown very decisively. Better use of support ults, really sealing the deal from them there. They will cap point A. However, the upside here for LG is that because Dignitas had to use pretty much all their ults to capture point A, they don't have to worry about them losing point B for free in a ult versus no ult situation. So it's a very good defense from LG here, and now they have an opportunity to really drag out and drain the time bank of Dignitas going into point B.
That's a great point. Just the momentum and having the ult advantage is so important here. 11 ultimates got used in that last fight. No, 12 including Drakeus as well, so this is going to be basically an even kill situation.
Alrighty, well, we do see Dignitas moving in once more. Lynx are leading the way, looking to build up his Dragon Blade. Eats a Discord Orb, but they're just going in very aggressively here on the right side. They're pushing LG back a little bit, and it's back and forth. Icefelt, though, into the back line, picks up 2. Drakeus is down, Sadie with the fall through, and that's going to be LG holding this versus attack on B.
Very nice from the DPS players there. Saini and Icefeld continuing to combine well. Manatin on Mei, so looking for opportunities when Dignitas come in and you can split the team, ideally 2 or 3, so you can get those pickoffs.
Mei is an interesting character in that it's not really used in a lot of situations, but teams almost universally agree that she can be very useful here on point B Anubis just because of her ability to split people off. So it's pretty good of Manatin to swap to this here. And it could just split off Dignitas again. He's hiding here to the left. If Dignitas goes all in together, Manatin will be able to get that split, and it'll bode well for LG defending another fight.
Lynx are now looking to poke, basically trying to tell Dignitas when to come in, and Manatin being very careful, isolating Numlock from the rest of the fight. Everyone's going to have to dive in here, but he gets the first kill, actually, and that was excellently played from Mei. Exactly the reason why you want that at the start of an engagement.
3 kills here from LG. Not only are they going to win this fight, but here's the important part. They didn't really burn anything ult-wise to win this. It was all nuts and bolts, and for the next fight, they are going to be loaded for bear. But you take a look at Dignitas, they've been saving up 2. Another ult showdown is going to be on the way.
And once again, we have up to a 6 ult versus 6 ult situation. Numlocked, the person who may not have an ultimate for the next fight, but this is going to be absolutely brutal. Manatin has got Blizzard available as well, so being able to, of course, to go through those shields and try and stop the momentum in its tracks.
Well, here we go. Fight is about to be underway. LG has a sound barrier that Dignitas does not. Dignitas is going to have to open with the Transcendence to go from there. Reinhardt does get isolated once more, but here comes Lynxer going to the back. Beats the Earth Shatter instead, is knocked right to the ground. Gets back up, is not dead yet. Sadie for the defense, his Dragon Blade is out. Does enough damage to set 3 kills. Make it 4, 5 kills from LG, and they have won the ultimate showdown.
And now, if you take a look, we have Drakeus potentially with a sound barrier, but that is more or less about it. Dignitas are not able to make that count, and Luminosity there already with one support ultimate ready to go.
Well, the interesting thing there is for LG is that they didn't even have to use sound barrier in that last fight, which means that Dignitas might be thinking, oh, we have sound barrier, well, so does LG. This is going to be somewhat of a wash in terms of ultimates. And for Dignitas, time is starting to be an issue. They only have 4 minutes left on their time bank. And if this doesn't work, it's going to be difficult for them to keep momentum. But here they go. Everyone is breaking it down. Zayd with first kill on the Numlock. 2 kills here from LG. Icefelt, no one on him as he lays in the damage in the back line. And this is looking good for LG. They will hold once more, trading sound barrier for sound barrier. Coming out on top.
Dignitas doing a little bit better in dealing with Mei that time around. Manatin did put the wall up and they more or less knew it was coming and ran straight around it. But still, there's that crucial 1.5 seconds of the fight when you don't actually have everyone in it. You had sound barriers on both sides mitigating that a little bit, and crucially, Luminosity continued to maintain their advantage here.
And here's a real person to watch here for the next fight. Lynxer might have a Dragon Blade up, but Icefelt, like an eagle in the sky, does have Death Blossom up here in just a moment. 98%. He's going to look to drop down. Oh my goodness. This is looking great. He's going to... Oh, he missed his opportunity. He wasn't looking.
Mei.
Now he's just going to run in and hope to get the flank. Q comes in a little bit late, but it doesn't matter. Sadie was able to do more with the Dragon Blade. Picks up 2. Icefelt's adventure perhaps not as entertaining, but LG looking good here in this fight as Lynxer tries to pull it back.
The goats weren't there, man. But Lynxer managing to get a kill. Actually picking up a double and still trying to pick individual players off of Luminosity. Good decision, knows the right time to get out. Just continuing to try and build up his ultimate because he did, after all, just use it.
And for Dignitas now, time again being an even bigger issue. If they didn't cap this point at all, it would be catastrophic and their odds of winning would just be much lower. But even now, it'd be great if they get us to the next 25 seconds because of time. But here we go, they're moving right in. They speed boost onto the point, but here comes the Blizzard. It's gonna get awfully chilly. LG moving in with that Blizzard. They force back Dignitas. Dignitas blowing the Transcends just to stay alive right now. Both teams still full HP. Ruster, Earthshatter at the ready. Getting poked down is not going to be able to land that Earthshatter for LG. So they're down a tank. It's 5v5.
Jokea, sound barrier.
More, and Manitin just spamming the right clicks as Icefeld gets to the backline once more.
Jokea using the sound barrier as soon as it was available to try and maintain a little bit of momentum for Team Dignitas here, but here comes a huge Graviton surge. Manitin going into protection mode, and Dignitas weren't able to make that sound barrier count. It was earlier than Minerals, but they didn't get the pickoffs they needed.
Alrighty, that was an interesting fight just for how extended it was, but LG once more standing strong. Dignitas going to be down to was effectively their last push here in just a moment. A lot of pressure going to be on Linkser, but a lot of opportunity as well. Mineral, no sound barrier. Zave, no transcendence. That means that Linkser, should he get to the backline unscathed, can really take out 2, 3, if not 4 members of LG. This is his time to shine, or his time to fall.
And May as well, the survivability there was excellent. Manitin got another Blizzard up inside that fight. Here come Dignitas. Is this going to be their final big push? Saini coming in. He's got Dragon Blade available, trying to take care of McCree to start off with. It's getting awfully chilly in here, and that is 3, now 4 kills going the way of Luminosity. Saini goes down, but it doesn't matter.
Linkser got taken out by that Death Blossom, and I think for Linkser there, I actually would have liked to see him open up with Dragon Blade a little bit earlier there. I mean, by the time Dragon Blade came out, half his team was already dead. They were too clumped up. Icefeld had the punish. And now 45 seconds left. Dignitas they died quick enough that they might be able to cause a last fight here, but they're not going to have much in the way at ult at all. And look at Sadie right now. Dragon Blade is at the ready. He's ready to end this game on his own terms. Looking for the opportunity. He's going to go in here in just a moment. Not much to stop him. Will he bring out the Dragon Blade? They've lost Icefeld. He's holding on to it, at least for a little bit.
Oh, and we have Ruster using the Earth Shatter as well to try and keep the enemies at base in. He's looking for an opportunity, but he is so low on hit points right now that he can't actually afford to right now. Transcendence coming out from Team Dignitas. They need to make this work. 10 seconds remaining.
Here comes the Dragon Blade. Now it's on the way. Sadie is healed up, slicing and dicing, takes out R-Tier, gonna dash right back in. What beautiful slashes, sets up the rest of his team, and that is going to be LG with the hold on point B. And things just went from bad to worse for Dignitas here in the upper bracket. And let's just note for people, as far as the stakes go, if LG is able to just cap point B on their own attack, they are going to Atlanta.
Very high stakes indeed. Dignitas as well, they've got to be feeling pretty bad after that. There were a number of engagements where they weren't able to make the most of their ult showdowns, and basically every single one of those going the way of Luminosity. Manitin as well deserves a shout out. In this fight, he used his Blizzard initially and then came back and had another Blizzard by the end of the fight. That May was basically an ever-present force.
May is really, really good on point B Anubis. It's one of the few areas in the game where Ice Wall is truly game-breaking. Ice Wall has trouble in a lot of other maps just because there's ways around it. Where, for example, look at King's Row in the Archway, right? If you know there's a May, you can just go in over the top and ignore it entirely. Sure. There's no great ways of ignoring a May Ice Wall on point B Anubis, and it's part of why it's so effective.
So now all eyes on Luminosity. They need to be able to, I mean, overcoming this is going to be very difficult for Dignitas. How are Luminosity going to be able to break this? Maybe Dignitas can pull it back. It could end up being a really big success story here, but they have to dig deep.
The thing for LG here is that they don't even have to worry about time so much here. They can really just sort of take the slow and steady approach where they maybe, at the quote Rafa the other day, do more junk rushes, just build up a lot of ults, and go for the one decisive fight. It might take a longer amount of time, but all they have to do is get on point B is simply cap it once. It's pretty expected that they'll take point A, but not guaranteed. For Dignitas, I think they're going to have to be a little bit more aggressive, take more risks on this point A defense, and try and actually just win the map right here. They have to defend point A for 4 minutes. If they do that, that's probably their best win condition here, because the idea of keeping LG off of point B for the full WOD time, not super likely.
Exactly right. Playing a 4-3 result here, of course. If they're able to full hold point A, they win. If they can't full hold point A, both teams hold at point B. It's a draw for now anyway, and they have to cap point B to win on the side of Luminosity. So here we go, moving straight on in with the first fight. Saini basically unchecked in the back and targeting those Discord orbs beautifully, getting both tags in the process.
Well, the Widowmaker is real. Manitou is able to take out Bromos immediately. The troubles continuing for him in this series. That's going to be a very decisive fight for LG. So any hopes and dreams that Dignitas had of actually winning this on point A, going up in smoke, going up in a Widow, hail of bullets, and it's rough.
This, as well, is the textbook situation that defending teams are afraid of. We've got Manitin nearly with his ultimate as well. If you take a look at the ult charge for both sides, Luminosity have a lot of momentum here.
Saini right now can actually end this game in just a moment. He's going to be able to get Dragon Blade up. There's not going to be any Sound Barrier to greet him. There's not going to be any Transcendence to greet him. And that would be a fitting end to this game for how well Saini has played so far. So Saini with the ability to send LG to Atlanta in this next fight. Here they go. They're on the way. Saini moving in. Dragon Blade unleashed. Takes out one. And oh, the 3G Express takes him out right away. What a charge from Numbani to keep Dignitas in this game.
Oh, and Dignitas are fighting back tooth and nail right now. 3 down for Luminosity, and it looks like they're going to be able to hold. That was absolutely heroic from Numlock to start stemming the flow. And man, it's a long time. Look, it's 7 minutes left on the time back, but if this ends up being the start of the comeback is real, wouldn't that be great?
That was just pure heroism. I mean, Saini, that was the storyline. He was going to send them to Atlanta with that Dragon Blade, got one kill, and then got shoulder tackled right into the wall. So, oh my goodness. And going to the next fight here, there will be a Sound Barrier up the mineral a little bit later. Drakezo opening up with it right now. And we'll see how this works out. But Dignitas, they are down one to start this out. And Luminosity getting a few picks they need, but here comes Linkster, defensive Dragon Blade on the way. Graviton setting up, gets one, looking for two. Zenyatta still in the line of sight, and Zabe actually able to take him out in the end. Bromas
getting a double in the middle of that, and we have Urshadow now coming out from Dignitas to stay on a point. Numlocked at the moment, standing strong for his team. A lot of heroism there, like you said, ZP, and he is continuing to keep the backline safe.
Again, this is going to be after truly a heroic effort here for Dignitas. They must hold for 6.5 minutes. And remember what I mentioned earlier in the series, LG, they can just hold on to ults here and keep junk rushing. They do have Dragon Blade Sound Barrier into the next fight. And I don't know if they know it or not, but the only support ult that Dignitas has is a Transcendence. But here they go. They're moving in. Sound Barrier now on the way. Icebound moves at backline, waiting for the pulse bomb. They're looking for the opportunity. Another charge comes in, and it takes out Saini once more. So a little bit of extra damage. So Numlock handing the charges on the Genji. 3 kills here from Dignitas, and Joro, they're staying alive.
Yeah, Icefeld going down with the ult available, so using the support ult to go in there, yes, they preserve a couple of others, but actually Dignitas are building up a little bit as well. It's worth noting they still don't have any support ult up for the next fight. They did have to use that Transcendence to defend, but they're staying fast. It's just how many team fights are they actually going to have to hold on for? It's alarming, the large number that is.
It's going to have to be about 8 or 9 team fights here. I mean, this is a harder point to take, but you got to think that just odds-wise, LG would be able to take at least one of them. But Dignitas doing a good job of not fading here in this upper bracket match, not making LG's path to Atlanta as easy as they might have hoped. Here comes Manitin, Graviton Surge on the way. Here comes Icebound looking for the Wombo, throws in the Pulse Bomb, does not get the pick he's looking for right away. And Links are getting to the backline, taking out Icefeld. It is very, very close between both teams. It's down to what might be a 2-on-1 right now on the point. Saini, though, going to get flashed in the face, and he will go down.
Dignitas are continuing the story here. The dream is alive. They've now got 3 ultimates available, and they're slowly building up towards another Transcendence as well. Luminosity, meanwhile, are on the receiving end of not having as many ults. Zay perhaps will also get a Transcendence, but otherwise it is just Saini. That said, Genji can actually be the difference maker here.
Definitely, and taking a look here as Bromas is hanging up, he's going to Deadeye the zone out LG as they look to come in. Saini does have Dragon Blade at the ready. Wait, he's not satisfied yet, does go in. Here comes the defensive Dragon Blade, links her right into the back, right after that, picks up 2, looking for more, right in McCree's face, down he goes. Links are exploding here at the very end as Dignitas truly giving LG all they can handle here on their point B attack as 420 remains in the time bank.
This is absolutely amazing. I mean, Dignitas, they've gone from 7.5 minutes down to 4.5. They're almost halfway through to holding this. There's still so much left to do, but what they're doing at the moment is so promising. They're trying to maintain that ultimate advantage where possible, and Lixa just absolutely clutch there.
All right, well, Saini, he's going to have his opportunity here. Graviton, though, is out on his team as once more.
Oh my
R-Tier sets up his team for 3 quick kills. I love this defense coming out for Dignitas right now. Where was this team the rest of the series?
They are definitely saving the best for last here. If we actually get to see them hold this is going to be definitely one of the stories of the tournament.
This is a storyline. I just feel myself getting more and more hype as it goes on. LG, they have not been able to put together, and Dignitas fighting to the last man. Linkser is going to have a Dragon Blade up again for this next fight. It could not be better for them right now. Of course, Sandy has a Dragon Blade of his own, and the next fight is about to begin.
Oh, and Saney getting dashed through to start off with by Linkser. He gets picked up very early on in the fight, but Luminosity have 2 kills of their own. Transcendence popping out now as everybody goes on to the point. It's 5v4, now 4-on-4. Ooh, Numlock's going down with Transcendence for Dignitas.
Linkser got knocked to the ground, got right back up. Dragon Blade on the way, got the cleanup with R-Tier, and now 3 minutes remain on the time bank. Dignitas, do they have the ability to actually hold here and have the counterpoint be hold? It seemed super unlikely when there was 8 minutes in the time bank, but now as we get down to 2:45, LG only has about 3, if not maybe 4 pushes left. It's starting to look much better for Dignitas.
Dignitas need to stay calm. They need to stay collected. They know they've been doing a good job so far. They can't afford to let the blood rush to their head and make a critical mistake here as Luminosity coming down on the right-hand side. Sound Barrier starting off, and they are rushing in. Saney getting the first kill off on Toxic, and he's got the blade out. He wants to get 2 or 3 more picks. Oh, and could this be the beginning of the end? He gets 4! Oh. And this is looking dire for Dignitas. They've held on for so long. Can the trickle save them?
That was looming over their heads for a long time. Sandy was just looking for the good Dragon Blade. They're all on the point. The respawns are coming in, but will it be enough? They are almost there, just a sliver, keeping LG away from Atlanta right now. Dignitas with the last-ditch Graviton. LG holding on, getting 3 kills, and that is going to be it. It was rough for them. It was a destroyed defense from Dignitas, but in the end, LG just booked their tickets to Atlanta.
Dignitas, what incredible play from them. Stoic and stubborn, but Luminosity eventually wearing them down. And Saney at the very end there, just doing such an incredible job. He was looking for that opportunity all game long. Dignitas denied him time and time again, but at the death, they just weren't able to do that one more time.
So for Dignitas, that was really a tale of 2 teams there. There was a team we saw for the first map in Numbani and the first half of Temple Anubis, and then there was a team we saw in their Temple Anubis defense, which reminded us a lot more of the Dignitas of old. So for them, it shows that they still have the potential to really do impressive things, but they just need to show it a little bit more often.
Yeah, they definitely do. It was fantastic to watch, but ultimately they fall to the lower bracket match. They're not out of it yet, and congratulations as well as Luminosity book their ticket to Atlanta. Guys, that was breathtaking to finish things off.
Yeah, we had to run back to the desk here because we weren't sure quite when that was going to finish. Of course, joining me on the desk, we got Fishsticks, ZP, and Jorasar just casted that last match. And as you said, what an incredible match. What did we see from Dignitas? What was that change that happened? What even happened there, Fishsticks?
Well, first of all, that's a crushing defeat for this Dignitas squad. They're not down and out yet. They still obviously have a chance to go to Atlanta, as they will be facing off in the losers bracket in just a couple of minutes. But a couple of interesting things to note from that map. First of all, huge plays from Tiani. Time and time again, he was looking for these flanks, and he just was able to find them time and time. And in the end, it was a 5K from Tiani that ended it and ended that really, really long hold on the final point of Anubis. But I also want to call out Numlocked. Heroics for his team. Able to charge Tiani into the wall twice, and maybe that's what stopped the flow from Tiani much earlier. You know, he pulled out the Dragon Blade and wasn't able to find value originally because Numlocked had the Spidey sense. He was charging at the perfect times and getting those pins when it was absolutely necessary and crucial. There you go. There's one for you on the screen. But I want to actually talk about how LG opened up on attack to get that first point on Anubis so quickly. It was actually with a Widowmaker. You know, we saw Manitin, who's usually playing Zarya or usually playing the tank role, switch on over to Widowmaker to start things off. He was able to get 1 kill, and Icefelt, who's been playing Reaper, been playing Tracer, he actually had to play D.Va in that situation.
Yeah, he did, and I will say this, he was able to pick off Bromos right away, but once more, sort of one of the factors going in where we talked about the explosiveness of McCree play. And there's a lot of factors that go into a game, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of cases where LG is playing out of their mind. But I don't know if Bromos on the McCree spot is really the answer right now for Dignitas, because again, I just think back to Dignitas's identity in the past where they had R-Tier in that spot. R-Tier consistently had big 3, 4K plays that really put them over the top, and thus far that contribution has not happened for Bromos. And in fact, you look at Numbani, he was the first one taken out. You look at the Temple of Anubis defense on point A, first one taken out by a Widow. I just don't know if he's as comfortable in that role as he was when he was on a Soldier. And I feel like if you had to pick one point where maybe Dignitas isn't really living up to what they used to do in the past, that switch up there where Artier is no longer in that role, I feel like it's hurt them a lot.
Yeah, it's the consistent storyline that we've been talking about now for a little while, as we do have those three members, Linkser, Artier, and Bromas, kind of swapping every single week, trying something new. And ZP, you've talked about this in the past. Some people say, hey, that's a strength that they have so many players that can switch, but it's also a huge weakness because they're not consistently practicing with a consistent lineup. And in the end, Dignitas suffering what looked to be actually, in the end, somewhat one-sided. Yes, they had a nice hold on Anubis, but if you go back to Numbani, a time set of 3 minutes and about 30 seconds there for LG is absolutely ridiculous. You know, we saw Dignitas do that against OW Kings. They set about a 4-minute time, but LG striking back and even setting a quicker time against Dignitas, they looked helpless on defense.
Yeah, and one interesting thing there, though, is that it felt like Dignitas did come back with a really good offense of their own, but they put themselves in such a ridiculously deep hole going in there that it didn't even matter at that point. So it's weird. On one hand, I want to say, yeah, they just got completely obliterated on Numbani. On the other hand, it's not like their offense looked bad. It just clearly they didn't have the defense part figured out at all.
Exactly. They were actually en route to setting a pretty decent time. If the teams were actually swapped around and we saw them attacking first, we would have said, actually, this is a pretty competitive time. They're doing quite well for themselves. But the fact is, Luminosity blitzed through so quickly that they weren't even able to do that. Credit to them, though, for not crumbling under the pressure and still actually pushing towards a very respectable time, but it just wasn't to be. And I also want to highlight what you said, Fishsticks, about Numlocked. We might be used to in the past with Artier getting these like hero sort of status. I remember Numlocked was one of the few guys when he shouted in the room at the last live event, everyone else could hear it whether the door was closed or not. So he's the main shot caller, and he's a very loud kind of guy. So maybe when he bushed Zany there on Temple of Anubis, you could hear him roaring and rallying the team, and you got that fire stoked in their belly. That was really cool.
Well, a big part of this story is how we got here today. Let's take a quick look at the bracket and see how this all played out. We started things off today with Luminosity versus No Name Yet. Luminosity coming ahead 2-0, and Dignitas moving 2-0 against Overwatch Kings into that winner's bracket. Luminosity, of course, moving on, claiming that plane ticket and that opportunity to play at the ELEAGUE Arena at the end of September for that $300,000 prize pool. And now we're going to see the losers match actually between Overwatch Kings and No Name Yet to decide who gets the opportunity to play against Dignitas now for that second spot. So guys, this is quite important for Dignitas here. This is not an easy match for them coming up, whichever one comes out ahead. But still thinking that Dignitas is going to be the one ultimately to move out of the groups. Is that the assessment there, Fishsticks?
It certainly seems that way. I mean, they were able to have a very convincing win against OW Kings, who we think is probably the favorite in this next matchup against No Name Yet. But you got to say, actually, No Name Yet played incredibly well on King of the Hill versus Luminosity in the first game of the day of our broadcast here for Group D. So, if anything, I hope OW Kings was watching that and maybe thinking, okay, we're going to stick away from those King of the Hill maps if at all possible.
Those wide open spaces where No Name Yet were able to consistently flank, that was actually the biggest difference between Nepal and Lijiang Tower. No Name Yet were absolutely loving it on Nepal, just constantly flanking and keeping everyone guessing where they were going to go next. As soon as it moved to the sort of narrower choke points or places where teams actually needed to bunch up a little bit more, they started to lose their edge a bit, and that's where Luminosity, it was close as far as a 3-0 could be close at some points, but it was a very, very different team from No Name Yet that we saw.
All right, well, we have an interview with Mineral from Luminosity. We saw him on Ano. We saw him on some of the support plays. Mineral, are you here with us?
I'm here. Hello, guys. How you doing?
Hey, congratulations on the victory. You guys are going to Atlanta. How do you feel?
Yeah, it feels amazing, actually. We had a pretty rough week of scrims, so it feels good to actually come through and win this.
All right, well, we have a couple questions for you here. First and foremost, talk to us a little bit about the Ana choices going into the match, what she offers, and why you guys chose to run with her.
Ana?
Ana?
We didn't play Ana.
Oh my gosh, am I taking the wrong notes here? It's entirely possible.
You might be thinking about NIP.
Oh.
You don't play that stuff.
I have fallen way back. Well, sorry, guys. There, tell us. You guys take over for me.
Sure.
I'm losing my mind here.
No
apparently.
worries, Rachel. I just want to ask, actually, were you expecting to go out first in this group? I mean, traditionally, Dignitas has been one of the top teams in Europe. Talk about maybe your history against playing against Dignitas, and were you expecting to beat them here, actually in a very convincing fashion?
Yeah, I mean, we know that Dignitas are super good. I mean, they've been the top team at some stages of Overwatch, really, and the best team in Europe. But last time we played them was third week of Face It, I think, and we beat them 2-0 there as well. So that was like our last official matchup. So we felt really comfortable against them. We kind of know how they play. We know their strengths. And weaknesses, so we felt kind of comfortable going up against them, and we didn't think it would. I mean, it was kind of a hard game as well, even though we put up a really good time on attack on Numbani. We almost, we kind of messed up a little bit, and it was kind of tight in the end. But yeah, I mean, Dignitas are super good, so we're really happy to have beaten them.
Talk to us a little bit about the emotions that were going through everybody's heads on Temple of Anubis, where you had that, basically for at least 4 or 5 minutes, almost epic hold after epic hold after epic hold. What was going on in team comms, and what were you guys thinking, and what were you saying?
Yeah, it was super chaotic. I mean, if you listen to our comms and scrims, we usually have kind of a lack of focus. We can't really focus as well as we do in officials, and this was just super chaotic. I mean, everyone's screaming. You can barely hear anything really. So it was pretty stressful. But I think everyone could hear, like target calls and stuff like that. And yeah, it was a really fun hold. I mean, Manetin as an MVP is such an insane May. Like he had 2 ultis in one fight, I think, or something. It's just insane.
So it's been a long road for you guys to get to where you are. There is sort of this question in the Overwatch community for people that are watching going, how do I get into the game and all the rest? I feel like you guys are a great story because you really did sort of start out in the mid-tier where you didn't always have the best results in the weeklies, but you sort of stuck with it. You kept going in. You played every open tournament you could, and slowly you climbed your way back up. And now in the last month or so, you've really had good results. What would you tell new teams that are going in that they're sort of in the beginning of the grind where you're sort of the not feels good, gets taken out in the round of 16. How do you get through that as a team?
Well, I mean, for us, it was kind of like all the players, like the core of the team was like experienced beta players. You had Tiny, who was the star player on Bongo Beach Boys, and the core of the team is kind of what was the core of the experiment team, which was ranked, I think, 9th or 8th in the world before they folded right after Take TV LAN. So, I mean, we knew that we had the potential, that we had the individual skill. It was just about, like, team cohesion. Because if you look at Overwatch right now, it's not as much about individual skill. It's, like, about really putting it together as a team, the communication, target focus, stuff like that. That's really what separates the best teams from teams that are like up and coming. You look at a team like Envious, they play super methodical. They get a pick or two, they fall back, and they just play so efficient. So it's just about like for teams coming up, I think just watch a lot of VODs, see how the teams play, try and implement those things into your game, and just keep grinding and don't get discouraged. I mean, the competition is insane. There's so many players, so many new players, so many new teams coming up. So yeah, just keep grinding.
And just as a quick follow-up, what do you guys think was the turning point for you, where you really turned the corner and said, wait, we can start competing with the top teams. We're no longer stuck in top 16. We can really just take the next step. Was there anything particular, or was just one day it clicked and suddenly much better results?
I think it took us probably, like, when we started scrimming with the original lineup, it took us a couple of weeks to, like, get used to each other. I think after 2 or 3 weeks of being together, we beat Reunited in some, like, best of 1 in ESL, and I think that was a big confidence boost for everyone, because, like, okay, we reached a peak there. We probably wouldn't beat Reunited in a best of 3 or a best of 5 at that stage, but we've shown that we can compete. So, that kind of gave us a boost, I think, and then after that, it's just about grinding.
Well, talking about team cohesion, and you mentioned the comms are a little chaotic. What are you guys going to work on most, and how are you going to work on it leading up to the finals in Atlanta?
Well, I mean, communication has, like, been up and down for us again. Like, I try to shot call for the team, and usually I'm the one, like, taking up most space in comms. But in a game like this, where it's so chaotic, everyone's talking, and that's kind of what we want to reach. But we want to kind of have a balance there, so everyone's calm and we, like, keep our emotions in check. So I mean, that's certainly something we're going to work on. We're looking into bootcamp opportunities before Atlanta, and then, I mean, we're also trying to move to NA. So depending on whether our house is ready or not, we might actually just go there and start boot camping. But yeah, just get into atmosphere, learn a new patch more than anything, because I think a lot of things are going to change.
Well, that's exciting news. You guys coming to North America. Have you had any plans yet about where you want to settle and what you're looking into?
We're probably going to Toronto.
Oh, very exciting.
Cool.
All
You
right.
heard it
Well,
here first.
the first? Is that the first esports team I've heard of in Toronto? Maybe I'm wrong there. But congratulations to you guys, Mineral. I look forward to you guys coming out competing at the ELEAGUE Arena at the end of the month. So good job today. And thanks for the quick interview. Now, guys, we have another matchup coming. We have Overwatch Kings versus No Name Yet. This is our losers matchup. The team who comes out of this is going to face off against Dignitas for that last slot we're giving away in Group D. Some thoughts before we head to break on these two teams?
On paper, I gotta say OW Kings has the more experience. I'm gonna say that they're definitely the favorites here. But after the matches that we just saw, it's gonna be close. I think that this could be a 2-1. Not sure where it's gonna go.
It's interesting because you look at OW Kings, they have some very standout players, notably Olba. We were talking a little bit about McCree explosiveness, where maybe Bromos was lacking that in Dignitas. Olba was not lacking that. Olba had some true, just crazy hero moments worthy of some of your very best players in the game. And then, of course, you had Shader 2K, a big fan favorite, really good Genji. So they have that, but they're not quite as coordinated, I think, as No Name Yet was. So it's interesting, given the pedigrees of both teams.
All right. Well, I actually got a little bit ahead of myself there because we still have the incredible play of the game from that last matchup, and I don't want to miss out on anything from Luminosity and Dignitas. This was quite a clash of titans here, and casters, any note that stuck out to you?
The final moment.
The final.
Saini, the
It
final
has to be,
moment.
right? It has to be.
Yeah.
5 kills at the end, right?
Honorable mention, the Numlock's crazy charge on Saini. They actually set up that crazy defense.
True. Yes, Numlocked with the heroics, basically to enable this storyline to even be possible, but Saini coming in at the end. This was the most influential play as well, of course. It basically was the straw that broke the camel's back. So
It was
very
more than a
nice.
straw. It was more like a ton of bricks.
Yeah,
Tierney,
exactly right.
he's been a great Genji player since the early phases of the beta, as Mineral was just talking about, and really exhibiting his abilities there. And as a Genji player, every time you're slicing that Dragon Blade and you're hitting more than one person with a single slice, even if it only happens once or twice, that bodes incredibly well for the team fight.
Yeah, he was great at managing his damage, great at managing his distance, and a huge asset to his team there for Luminosity. I do want to give a shout out to Linksor, though. Linksor, I feel like, had some really shining moments, not as consistent, perhaps, as Seni, but really, really great DPS play from both teams today.
I'm a Linkser fan, and I'm glad to see him back on Genji. I'll say that much.
He used to be, used to sort of swap on and off the Widowmaker a very long time ago. I love watching his Genji play as well. He might have been outshone a little bit today, but that's not to take anything away from him. He's still a fantastic player, and of course, we're going to see more of him later on today as well.
Yes, we will. Whoever wins this next matchup between Overwatch Kings and No Name Yet is going up against Dignitas, but we have a quick little break right before that. Don't go anywhere.